Oh, you know, it'd be cool.
What?
You know, it'd be cool. So, all right, so we're live, but you know, it'd be cool is if we had actually, is there a way to find comments? I don't know if we'll get any comments because I'm not even announcing this. This is kind of like a first podcast slash test, which will be a lot of fun. If you
Hmm.
guys are watching this, this is the first podcast, the RN Body Transformation Secrets podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Clark. I'm the owner and a transformation coach here at RN Body Transformations, joined by the amazing, the lovely, man, I don't even know how to describe. I can't possibly describe you and get across what I want. You're really awesome. You're exactly what our embodied transformations embodies our beliefs and everything. But this is Charity Rogers. Woo!
Fantastic. Thank you for the sweet intro. I love it when I leave people speechless and without adjectives.
Truly. And I think you know from experience that I am not usually speechless. I
Yeah,
am usually
there's a
just
transformation
talking.
already.
Right. I'm just talking all the time. So
Awesome.
today, mainly, I just wanted to get on and talk a little bit about maybe what we believe, what we're about. And I know you're relatively new to the team here, Charity.
Hmm.
So I'd love
Glad
to
to
know
be here.
even, of course, yeah. So I'd even just like to talk about, you know, your experience as a coach, even just your beliefs as a coach. Maybe we'll start there. What are some of your beliefs for coaching? How do you help somebody lose weight and most importantly, sustain it forever? Right? How do you go about long-term sustainable transformation?
Habit changes, small ones that you start with. And I love the idea of mindfulness, movement, moderation, and kind of all things and across the board. So that's kind of where I start from. And I
Did
think
you
it's
have
fun.
that prepared? That was
Oh,
like
it's
those
something
M's were
I know,
perfect.
right? I've been working. I love it. Mindfulness, movement, moderation, all this stuff. And mindfulness is so important. Yeah. And isn't it funny? Moderation in all things isn't the
Yeah,
definition of moderation isn't in all things, but it's
right.
so important and it's just across the board. So I think basically that's it.
Yeah, you know, it's something you said too with what can you say those M's again? Moderation, movement,
So it's MIMO. So mindfulness, moderation,
mindfulness,
and
moderation.
movement. Hmm.
Interesting. I like that. Mimo. Wow. You know, something that with moderation that it just popped into my head is this idea of increase, don't decrease, right? Like
Hmm.
if we want something to be sustainable, I feel like man, I know today's really just going to be all the mistakes people make when trying to transform their body. No, I don't want it to become that. But something that comes to mind is this idea of increase, don't decrease, which is kind of like moderation. This
Hmm.
idea that if we aim to transform our habits, we need to start slowly, right? We need to put actions in place that don't make us feel like we're depriving ourselves. I feel like that's where a lot of people go wrong. What do you think?
I agree. I agree. And it also comes down to that mindfulness piece too, just finding out the
Sure.
things that you can add into your life that can push out the things that maybe are less than healthy or stellar choices for you.
Yes. That's
Hmm.
why I like that philosophy of increase, don't decrease, right? Because if we
Hmm.
increase, everything else falls to the wayside. Like one of the most basic ways is increasing protein, right? Protein water. You know, as we increase protein, we're going to be more in water, more satiated. We don't have to think about, okay, let me eliminate my carbs, let me eliminate the fat, let me eliminate all my happiness. Instead, you just increase protein, those things naturally come down, and there's no focus towards it, which is a
Hmm.
great thing. So we don't
Right.
feel this deprivation,
Right.
which, you know, I
You're
think
moving towards something rather than moving away from something.
exactly. And I feel like
Mhm.
it's so funny, right? Because we could, let's take someone's average in a week of doing that, like what they would eat. Even if we were to prescribe somebody that exact plan, on one of the plans, they feel it's more sustainable and less strict, I guess. And then the other way feels like, oh man, when's this going to be over type of thing. Like it's just less sustainable. So, do you feel like really one of the keys to long term sustainable transformation is being able to solve this guy, right? Like
Oh,
it's
yeah.
all about mind, right?
Psychology for sure. And mindset. Absolutely.
Right. I'm just here. I go talking again. I I remember hearing when I was younger this idea of everything we want in life is 80% psychology and 20% mechanics, right? And for those of you listening, I know, that's the idea that 80% of everything we want to do is right here. Not necessarily that we have the knowledge, but that we have to solve psychology. We have to solve behavior. We have to solve emotions. 20% is the fitness, nutrition, all the mechanics of it.
Right.
Would you kind of agree with that rough?
I agree. It's like what Boss Baby said. He's like, whether you believe you can or you can't, you're right. So it's adjusting your mindset. I think it was actually a quote from somebody else, but that's when I heard it. So I'll give him the credit. I don't know who it was. But anyway, so whether you believe you can or you can't, you're right. And so, it's changing that mindset and the belief systems that you maybe have in place and aren't aware of. So again, that mindfulness piece comes in and figuring out what it is that's really going to work for you and how you're going to feel your best and healthiest self for the long term.
Definitely. And I think that maybe belief is the first step, I mean, obviously it goes beyond that. Like when I talk psychology too, like one of the things that I think about is just the emotions, the underlying emotions that control us, right? Not to dive too deep into the science of the brain, and I'm no neurologist, but you have 3 layers to your brain, right? You have your reptilian brain, which is like all of your autonomic things that you don't have to think about, all that good stuff. You have your emotional brain or your limbic system. And that's like what you feel. That's your experience of life for the most part. And then above that, you have your reasoning center. A lot of people, when they try to transform their body, they try to create a plan that has to do with the reasoning center only. Okay, I'm going to do these things on the plan because it's going to get results. If any of my clients are watching, you already know that results are easy. Now, maintaining results is hard. And that's why unique coaching, personalized coaching is so impactful. Because what Charity, I have a friend named Charity and I aim to do is we focus one layer deeper. We focus on the limbic system or the emotional brain. Every plan we put in place has got to be in line with emotions. If it's not, our days are numbered. So like, I'll give you an example yesterday. Jean, I hope you don't mind me sharing this, but it's like with Jean, she's right now, I like to think of life as big seasons and then smaller micro seasons. So big seasons might be like you're a teenager, you're not independent, you're dependent, and then you become independent, and now you become a parent where you have dependence, and those are like macro seasons. But then inside of those seasons, we have micro seasons, and these micro seasons are things like winters, springs, summers, falls, but they happen much faster. One example is Jean is going through, I just finished a micro winter where pretty much she started with me in a micro spring. She lost, I think it was like 12 pounds relatively quickly and feeling like it was easy, crushing it. Did you meet Jean yet?
I don't think so. I can't wait though. Her story sounds great.
She's so awesome. Oh man. Yeah. She's got a great story. But I'll try to stick to it. But she, lost 12 pounds relatively quickly. Didn't really change that much, which is like, that is our MO. My goal is for the majority of clients to be in week 5, 6, or 7, look around, be down 15 pounds and think to themselves, this feels too easy. Bingo! That's how you know it's going to be sustainable. If you ever feel like you're on this path where you're climbing this huge mountain and it's like, oh, it's 4 more weeks and I'm there. Days are numbered. So it's all about integrating, right? Little resistance as possible, maximum result. But anyway, with Jean, back to it. Me and tangents. With Jean, she lost the 12 pounds and then things got crazy for her at work, like super crazy. She's a hospice nurse, and I think they let go 3 of the other nurses, and her boss just acquired another company, like hospice company, and just took on like a bunch of extra clients and was like, here you go. And she was like, we need more people. So during that time, she takes a lot of pride in her job. She wasn't going to let it fall. She was going to handle it. So during this time, whenever there's a winter that you're going through emotionally and it's tough and there's going to be stress, my advice, and I'm sure I want to get Charity's advice, her input in a second with this too, is do not try to make more progress. Batten down the hatches and maintain. That itself is a huge victory. Think about it. Would you try to plant your watermelon, your tomatoes, your kale as a blizzard is coming? No, it's not going to work. Like your plants are going to die. We all know that. But then why, when we're going through stress, do we try to change more stuff? It doesn't make sense. Identify what micro season you're in and respond accordingly. So with Jean, we just battened down the hatches. For 6 weeks, she didn't gain a pound. And she started drinking wine to cope emotionally with some of the stuff going on, which is okay. She just finished that micro winter. We're going into spring again. Stress is lower. She doesn't need to cope emotionally as much with things. Guess what? Time to lose again. She's probably going to lose another 12 pounds in the next 6 weeks, right? So I'm going to stop talking for a second. Charity, what do you think about that?
I agree. I think it's sometimes like on a bike ride. Sometimes there's parts that you're going to be climbing the hill and sometimes you're just going to be coasting. And then isn't that a nice season for us to realize things like empathy and grace for ourselves? That it's okay to kind of step back and be like, you know what? Like you said, the gain here is to not gain. The gain here is to be neutral and to just be calm as possible. And we might pick up some habits along the way. But again, to give ourselves the grace and the empathy, because we know it's a season. It's a finite period of time. And there's a light at the end of the tunnel, whatever little cliche you want to use, but it all works. So yeah, I think it's a very good time to cultivate empathy and grace. And yeah, to not gain is a gain.
Awesome. Yeah, I love that. Very cool. Well said. See, that's one of the things I appreciate about Charity so much is her ability to say exactly what I said, but literally so concisely. Yeah, she is like, I think this is one of the things that makes her a superior coach to me in this aspect is she can get across so quickly what takes me so much longer to say.
I think you're more of a storyteller, I think, too. And there's something to be said about gathering people around a campfire to tell a really juicy story that really connects humans. Me, I'm more like, I don't know, let's give you the 240 character one or something like that. But I do think there's value to both of them. And people hear and embody those things differently. So sometimes it takes a little bit of time and sometimes it just takes a one-liner.
But that's what's so great about you specifically as a coach to RNs, I feel like, because RNs don't have a lot of time, right? A lot of my clients, a lot of our clients, they're like, geez, Robin's a good example, right? Robin right now, Robin, if you're out there, holla, shout out to Robin. She is a superstar. She's a mom, wife. She's got multiple children, and she is working hard. I'm talking 12 hours a day with a multi-hour commute, 6 days a week. And she's doing that because she's trying to build a better future for herself and her family, which is absolutely incredible. But even through all that, she's still looking to transform her body. So of course, our approach with her is like, look, we got to meet you where you are. I feel like a lot of people, I'll just say this is, I don't want to make this a negative podcast, but one of the problems I have with the majority of fitness coaches, transformation coaches out there is they're all doing the same stuff. Hey, here's the most optimal fitness plan. Here's the most optimal nutrition. And I'm going to keep you accountable to it. And that works for results for 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, as long as they're there. What happens when they go? What happens when the stress comes in? They're not prepared. So, something that I've said again and again and again, and I'll stand by is I want to make sure like how I know that we help somebody truly is that when we are no longer here, they don't need us. And I remember it was so funny when I told somebody that they're like, oh, that's a bad business model. They're like, don't you want to hold on clients forever? Well, that's one way to keep business. The other way is to do such a good job that they tell everybody.
Yep, they tell others, yeah.
And that's where we're starting to go now. And that's why you're here, because I just couldn't take on any more clients. So it's exciting. And I'm really excited too, because, I went through quite a few interviews to be able to find you, this shining star. So like, I'm very happy that you're a part of this team, Charity. Like I couldn't think of any other better first addition to this team to be a part of what we're building here.
Great. Well, keep reminder the pedestal that he thinks he's putting me on is really low lying. I'm just hanging out on the
Yeah.
ground, sitting here and like nice and calm and stuff and just chill.
She's modest too. Well, that was the other thing. I feel like to be a great coach, which you embody so well, is you are so grounded. Like you are just completely, you embody the ideal self of what we all want to be, I feel like. And I should mention too, if anyone's watching this and has comments, feel free to comment, question. We're here and we'll be able to answer for you. I'm gonna throw the ball over to you, Charity, so that way I don't just lead the conversation forever. Is there anything that comes to mind for you? It could be about anything, our mission, being a coach.
I think it's wonderful that we've chosen RNs to help specifically because they have such a ripple effect with how they help others, starting with their family. And we just talked to someone the other day that she was saying that, like, she was eating more protein and they were changing where they were eating, or they were making more stuff at home. And then her husband and son were coming in, even though they might have fought her at the beginning, right? And
Yeah, that's a
so
good
that
story.
kind of was really cool. And and she was just doing subtle things. She wasn't saying, you don't need to eat that. It's just like, I'm going to choose to eat this. And her daughter was asking about the logging, right? And she's like, why do you do that? She goes, because it helps me just be more aware of what I'm eating. And then her daughter, I think, just took a step back and was like, oh, it's not like it's homework. It's just an awareness practice. And we might not call it that because that can feel a little woo-woo. But just by her example and the things that were going on with her and how happy she was with it, they couldn't help but get on board. She didn't have to fight them or preach to them. So that was awesome.
Yeah, I mean, that's another great story, right? I mean, talk about storytelling. Here we go. Patty, who has been a client now. Oh my gosh, I always mess up the lengths. I'm always like, I have a rough idea of like 6 to 8 weeks, 4 to 8 weeks. But she's been a client for around that time, and yeah, I remember, one of the main things that she had felt like in the beginning, and I feel like so many of us feel this way. Because we are in very much of the time a product, or at least influenced by our environment.
For sure.
She had said, one of the things I would love is to get the support from my family. It would be so much easier to eat healthier if they were eating healthier, or not even necessarily facilitating it, but supportive of me doing it. And our approach to that was, let's lure them with honey. Versus like, a lot of people tend to do the vinegar thing, which, hey, sometimes you just got to make the medicine go down. But other times, we led with honey, and it was like, we showed through her actions of least effort, maximum result, essentially the biggest lever, right? Controlling the biggest lever.
Right.
She was able to show them that, like, it's not hard to lose weight. Like, it's not hard to transform your body. It's just simple stuff. So even as she was losing weight, she wasn't exercising at this point, by the way. She was just focusing on sleep and food to start, right? Because I did make a post about Patty recently. She is full-time, I don't want to mess this up, director of nursing, and then also is covering for 3 other positions. Patty, if I got that wrong, I apologize. But I believe it's director of nursing, and then for like 800, like for the state hospital, and then like she's covering for 3 other positions that they were trying to fill. She doesn't have time to work out. Like, she's working 12 plus hours a day, has a family, is trying to sleep 8 hours. Like, it's not going to happen. So it's not the biggest lever. A lot of people, I think, romanticize exercise. They think that, okay, I need to exercise to lose weight. When really, if we think of the science, and maybe this is like what we talk about the next podcast, is like the physiology, the science of weight loss. In order to lose weight, any living organism, we just need to make sure that we're burning more calories than we're eating. That's it. Now, there's layers on top of that, but that's the foundation. If we think about that and we think through it through the first principles lens, what's easier, to reduce calorie consumption or to increase calorie expenditure? I mean, you already know the answer, of course, but yeah, it's like for you to not eat 200 calories. You can eat 200 calories in 20 seconds. It takes roughly 20 minutes to burn 200 calories. Whoa. What's the math on that? Is that like 100x harder?
Sounds like
is that
it.
What it is? Something
Sounds
like
really
that, right? Maybe it might be 50, because like I'm doing the math, 50x harder. That's crazy.
Mhm.
So why would we start with exercise? Now,
Mm.
I will say exercise is really important. I'm a big fan of it because of the
Mhm.
resistance training. If we can
Mhm.
add that underlying layer of muscle, you increase your metabolism over time. That's how you set yourself up for, yes, long-term sustainable weight loss to the point that you're not even thinking about food anymore because you've
Mhm.
built such like a Ferrari V12 engine that
Mhm.
burns, so much. What are some of your thoughts on that?
No, I agree. And I think it also, you were mentioning sleep and stuff too. Like sometimes we forget that we are still humans with bodies that have basic needs. And if we're not getting in the sleep, then we're maybe not going to be able to be working at our optimum. We're not going to make healthiest food choices because we're just eating to fuel the fact that we're sleepy and stuff. So starting with that too is, and the protein, of course, helps. And you don't have to think about food as much because you're not as hungry. Yay for
Right.
satiation.
I made a post recently. Maybe I should pull it up. Did you see that post about sleep?
I think I saw it. Maybe. Go,
You
keep
might
going.
have. May have. I mean, I think it honestly might have been before you came on. Like that's how long ago it was. But let me see. Let me
Bring
see
it
if I
back
can
out
find
though.
it.
It's always important to be reminded.
Yeah. Well, I wrote it up as if it was a. Oh, here it is. Yeah, I wrote it up as if it was like I was like selling something, right? Because I mean, people like it sounds funny,
Um,
but like we
True.
all need to be sold repeatedly. And I know
Mhm.
that sounds funny because sales generally has a bad connotation to it, right?
Mhm.
But we all are being sold all the time. I am constantly selling Charity on why she should stay a coach with us, right? Charity and me are constantly selling our clients of why they should stay with us, right? Until they
Mhm.
no longer need us. You watching this are, if you're in a relationship, are constantly selling your significant other of why they should stay with you, right? You are selling your kids about why they should be, performing actions that are going to make them better human beings, like doing their homework and blah, 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 right? We are
Mhm.
constantly selling. We just don't look at it as selling, right? We're always selling just persuasion. We're always trying to persuade people for their benefit,
Yeah,
right?
reminding them. Reminding them can be another one
Yeah,
too. Yeah,
reminding
gently.
them, but also like reminding doesn't always get the point across, right? Like, hey, go do your homework. Well, they're like, if they don't understand the underlying why it's important, we need to essentially educate them. And that's what
Stuff.
sales is.
Yeah,
It's
teaching.
how can I sell you on this? How can I like help you understand why you need to do
Mhm.
this?
Mhm.
But anyway, here's what it is. I'll read it to you. Imagine there was a pill.
Oh, I do remember this one.
Imagine there was a pill that could help you lose more fat, regulate your appetite, allow you to get sick less often, enhance your mood, reduce your stress, allow your mind to think more clearly, help you make better decisions, allow you to enjoy your workouts more, increase your motivation to work out more, or fill in the blank, anything, and have zero side effects, and
It's
it was
free.
free.
I remember that now. Yes.
Would you take it?
Of course.
And I think that's the thing we all forget is like
Mhm.
the free stuff.
Mhm.
Sleep. I think,
Mhm.
again, going back to psychology, people don't need to be told to sleep more. They know it's important.
Mhm.
What do they need? They need the strategy, right? So it's like they need the strategy that's going to align with emotion. You know, how are we going to put those rituals into place and get them to stick? That's the key, and it's different for everyone. But
Mhm.
yeah, I always like that little post because it's just such a good reminder. Like I will start. And I mean, I know you know this too from learning our framework of what we do with clients. Of course, every coach is a little bit different, but we have a underlying framework that tends to work for humans, right? Specifically RNs, especially because they're so busy. But like I like to focus on sleep and nutrition first, and protein, water, and increase, don't decrease, and then we go from there. That's the
Mhm.
key.
Yeah.
Is that a similar approach to you, Charity?
Oh, no, I agree. And like, I think with the sleep thing too, it's amazing how that can wrap up into self-care and stress management and really bookending your day to end up
Yes.
successful, maybe to sleep better. So maybe it's not just the quality of sleep, it's also the quantity. And I'm just
Yes.
finding ways and how even that small change, right, can change how your mornings begin, how your day begins and stuff. And again, that ripple effect comes in. Woohoo!
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, talk about morning, right? And I know we should
Mhm.
probably wrap up soon because we're already hitting 25 minutes, but this does not feel like 25 minutes to me. This is like flying by. Is talking about those rituals, the morning rituals even, right? So
Mhm.
impactful.
Yeah.
This idea of priming, you
Mhm.
know. There was a study that was done, I don't remember which university. Maybe I'll bring that to the second podcast. But there was a study that was done that essentially went and I believe it was 100 people. It was like a campus, and an actor walked up to a random person, handed them a cup of coffee, and said, "Hey, do you mind holding this while I tie my shoe?" Half the people they handed cold coffee to, the other half they handed warm coffee to. About 15 minutes later, another actor came by and said, "Hey, if you'll read this short story and answer 3 questions, I'll give you, $20." So it was like, 5 minutes, $20, why not, right? So they did it, and the story was the same, and the questions were the same. I think the math was something like 92% of the people that were handed cold coffee to hold for about 30 seconds said that the person in the story was cold and unforgiving.
Hmm.
92% of the people, or 91, it was really close. Statistically, it's really close. The people that were handed warm coffee were told that he was warm and caring. Same story. So it just goes to show it's really interesting. There's so much that plays into our experience of life that we are not conscious of. And this idea of priming, where the reason I tell you that, or the reason I talk about that, is the first 30 to 60 minutes of your day are most likely the most impactful 30 to 60 minutes that will impact the rest of your day.
Mm-hmm.
If you experience love, gratitude, and calm the first 30 to 60 minutes, that will be the primary emotion that you probably feel the rest of the day. Or even if you have a level 10 stress day, you will be more emotionally resilient to handle it.
So there is something to be said about waking up on the wrong side of the bed. Like that can happen, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
It's for a reason. But yeah, and I've heard too that if you go outside and get sunshine on your face within the first 30 minutes of waking up, it'll actually help you sleep better. Because I think we forget how much we take in through our bodies from the senses. Your brain doesn't forget, but our heads kind of do, right? So even that warm cup of coffee or just being around a person whose energy is a little off, your body knows that. And it's just paying attention to those cues and maybe modifying and adjusting if necessary or if you can.
I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man.
Good times.
Wow. Well, I could literally keep talking forever. We should probably wrap this up because it is Saturday. I'm sure you want to go hang out with your kids, and I appreciate. I was so funny with Charity. I was like, "Hey, you want to do a podcast?" She's like, "Sure." We literally just hopped on. It was great.
Awesome.
So, Charity, is there anything that you would want to say to wrap this episode 1 up?
I would say, I think the big thing that Ryan and I are both good at is we believe in you, even if you don't right now. We're going to help you with that too.
Wow, so concise. I love it. Yeah. Oh man, that actually.
I should say more, but I'm like, nope, that's a period. I'll just drop it.
It's funny. That actually reminds me of one more thing. So it's like I think this is a Tony Robbins thing, because I was like a big Tony Robbins fan in my early years when I was starting to get into personal development, and it's I don't know what it's called. It's like the cycle of action, the cycle of growth, something like that. But it's pretty much just 4 boxes. But I just condensed it to 3, and it's belief, actions, results, right? Mm-hmm. So everything that we want to be able to achieve generally starts with a belief, right? Like if an individual, an RN, gets on a call with one of our program directors, one of our salespeople, whatever you want to call them, they have a fundamental amount of belief that they can do something. It's there, at least enough to get on the call. Mm-hmm. And then that belief leads to new actions. Now, of course, when they meet with us, like you said, we inspire them, we empower them, that belief goes up. As the belief goes up, so do their actions. And as their actions go up, so do their results. And as the results go up, so does their belief. Oh man, maybe this can be different. Wow, this wasn't that hard. But I'm getting results. Let me do more.
Right.
And then we create these positive feedback loops. But anyway, I promised you we wouldn't go over 30 minutes. We're at 29:35.
This is awesome.
This was great. I really appreciate you popping on, and I'm excited for the next one. I think maybe for the next one, we'll go in with some topics, or we'll have an episode name maybe ahead of it, and we'll kind of just go from there. But cool. I'm excited. If you If you guys are listening right now, appreciate you guys being here, and see you in the next one.
Mhm.
Bye.
Bye.